Morning, excuse me. Morning, everybody. It is January 30th, 8:25 a.m. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Let's get into these markets. Let's look at the watch list. VIX is up 6.97%. TNX up 1.11%. The dollar is kind of flat. Bitcoin down 0.21. Selling bonds. The Dow is down 0.52. Crude's down 0.6. ES is down 0.79. The Russell down 0.89. Nasdaq is down 1.09%. Okay. Any leaders and laggards? We got Tesla still holding strength. Um, it's almost a 180 pre-market. Pretty crazy. BA. Let's go to the laggards. Snow, Nvidia, Microsoft, Coin, and Baba, the big loser here. I don't really see why Baba's so weak. Let's see. Consumer discretionary stocks. Yeah, I have to see that. But Baba's pretty weak, down 5%. Let's see here. Costco. No, maybe let's go to any laggard. We got Qualcomm, semis, um, and Roblox, communications. And let's see sectors. The there's not really a strong sector, so but the weakest ones are, believe it or not, real estate, communications, but tech and semis are the weakest. Okay, that's the look at that. We can go now into the daily chart. Actually, we can really quickly. Let's see here. Just go. I mean, obviously, everybody is aware of this week's a big week for news. There's no news today that's of any importance. Tomorrow we have Chicago PMI 9:45, consumer confidence at 10 a.m. Wednesday is the big day. Okay, we have manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing employment, ISM manufacturing PMI, JOLTS job openings, crude inventories, and then the big one at 2 o'clock is the FOMC statement, followed by the press conference. Next day you got jobless claims, and then we have non-farm payrolls on Friday. It's pretty packed with news this week. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to daily chart. All right. So you see this chart here. So you got my anchor VWAPs from the all-time highs. We closed above it. However, now this morning we are gapping lower, so it's down to 402. So we're about prices about here right now. So we're underneath the lows of Friday. Okay, and we're above this 400 level. Next resistance was 410. Hasn't made it up there yet. A lot of news this week, so today might be a very balancing day after whatever happens with this resolves after the gap. Okay, so we're above all the 200, all the major moving averages. The only thing I have in my chart is that anchor VWAP from the all-time highs. Okay, let's look at the Qs. Now the Qs, the Nasdaq has been stronger this year. Okay, tech's getting a bid. Now I have the let's slow the VWAPs for this one. All right, so there's the VWAP, anchor VWAP from all-time highs at 305. So we haven't touched that yet, but the Nasdaq has closed above the 200-day moving average. All right, starting to catch up to the S&P. But we got this resistance. Well, I wouldn't call it huge resistance, but right here at this 296, we kind of, this high here, it was also kind of a high here and here. So probably if I go to my weekly chart, let's see if I have that in there. there. All right, let's see the monthlies. And you can also see in the monthlies, right? Look at these months. Look at the range, right? Kind of the same range. And now, like, we broke that range, but now we're starting to pop back down. So very interesting in the monthly, right? Okay. Still have a trend from the top. Okay. It did break this channel. There is a channel here that I did have up here. Kind of popped its head above it. So pretty interesting to know. But now the Qs right now are 292. So they're all the way down here. They're below the 200-day moving average here. Or right, let's see, they're right around the 200-day moving average right now. So very interesting. Let's look at the TNX, the triple-headed monster that I always like to look at. All right, so TNX is starting to make a move higher. Look, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the fourth day it's been moving higher. Remember, this is the smart money. So move higher is bad for equities, for the stock market. So we're starting to move. Okay, now bond market might be telling us something, right? So we got to pay attention to that. It's starting to move up. All right, we have the FOMC, and I believe lately the Fed has been hawkish every time they talk, reaffirming their stance, right? Because everybody could be possibly getting excited, and they probably don't like this market making this rally. And I would be surprised if he's not hawkish, but we have to see. Let's look at the VIX. Now the VIX, this is a pretty big jump. I mean, we closed at what did we close at? 1851, and we're at 1984 right now. So that VIX, you can start getting back into the 20s, you know, before this FOMC, right? Makes sense. And that dollar hasn't moved much. Just look at this range in the dollar. Really, like, in this range. You know, you break this, that's going to be positive for equities and commodities if you break this 101 support area. But right now we're just in this range, waiting to see. All right, let's go over to the market profile. We'll take a look at that. And see what we're doing right now. Okay, so price is right here. We're at 40.49. 40.50. Okay, we're gapping lower. This is the lows. This is the highs from Friday. This is the higher overnight. This is the low. This is the most traded price overnight. Okay, so we're still above the most traded price of the week, most traded price of the month. Okay, we're still above that, so that is still bullish. That's the line in the sand for me. We also have the most traded price of the year, year to date. The current year is here as well. Okay, so if we start to crack that, that's gonna put some chinks in the armor. Okay, this is the 24-hour most traded price of the week, so that has moved higher, but we're below that. But I put a little more weight into the level of the RTH. I mean, I could show you that very quickly. Just to show you, this is the RTH only. Okay, that's right here, that level. You can see a balanced profile right now. But what I'm showing you guys now to show you guys the overnight sessions, it's the overnights and the real-time trading hours. But this is I put more weight on this because that's when the market's open. Okay. So let's go back here. Okay. So I have to look at my levels here and really say, if we can't take these out and we hold it, and we build more value up here, no volume, that is bullish. But we have that big FOMC thing on Wednesday. So this market could maybe pull back more and hold in here until FOMC. But if we crack it, I don't know. You really don't know what's going to happen, obviously. That's really what I'm going to look at. And you can see here the most traded price of Friday was here. And you can see we opened, hit it, and then we just been selling off. Okay. And so you want to look at this too. This is the midpoint, 50% of this move lower. Okay. This is about 85% net short. It's because we opened here, we went up, but then we went all the way back, all the way down, right? So everyone overnight short. Okay. If we stay down here, you could definitely see some type of fade. If we do come down and come back up, we're gonna squeeze these shorts at least to probably the lows. So the name of the game today is, can we fill the gap right here? Can price come up here? And what does price do if it comes there? Does it go back into range? Does it reject? Do we not fill the gap? That's all signs that you have to pay attention to. That's like the market generated information the market will give you. If we gap and go, that's weak, right? If we fill the gap but then we fall, that's weak. Strong would be fill the gap, but go back into range. That's strong, right? That means sellers are not that strong. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. Okay, let's look at NASDAQ. Now the NASDAQ is not gapping lower. Okay, and now we have what I like to call a weak low here. That is very nuanced by very equal. The overnight low and the RTH low are equal. Okay, we revisit that. Doesn't mean we have to break it, but it's a nuanced level. Okay, and let me explain that. This means that this is like people, more like retail traders that bought this, not the big institutions. Okay, so those are weak hands. So if we come back down here, they can get their stops run. Also have a demand zone here. Also, it's the 24-hour most traded price of the week right here. The RTH one is here. So that's a very that's a key level, which is around 120.40 in the Nasdaq that I'm going to pay attention to. Okay, because if we break it, come back, we could find ourselves back here, the most traded price of the week, the RTH. We're bouncing off it, so we have to see. But let's see here. So we got equal lows here. So there's a week. We have overnight high here. We have RTH high here. Okay, 200-day moving average is here in the futures market. So this is different, right? Nasdaq was strong, which has been stronger. Overall, it's weaker, but it's not gapping. Right? It's still within range. But ES is gapping lower. So it's a little different story in both. Okay? So that's the NASDAQ. Maybe look at these for a sec here. Just to give some perspective where we at. Prices right here, 40.47. You can still see these prices here. Most traded price of the current year is right here at 40.15. The rolling year is 39.89. So we're above those. Okay, we fall below it, we're gonna go back down to here at least. Okay. Ultimately, our next move can be to here if we do go higher. So think around 41.72. Okay. Let's look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq got the most traded price of the rolling year here. That is 116.98. You have the most traded price of this year, 115.24. And we're well above those. Okay. But now we're kind of like pulling back a little bit. You can see right here there's a support right there. Those three candles right there that we're going to probably come and test, 120.12. So first stop lower would be here. All right, that 116.98. And we've already came up to this high already. We already came up here, so be curious what the Nasdaq does. I mean, I could definitely see us selling off to here, waiting for FOMC. Doesn't have to happen, but it would make sense to do that. We have to see. All right, let's look at the hourly charts. I'll hit you with the watch list for a second. Let's see if there's anything of import to talk about there. I'll start off with this zoomed out view. Now you can see that little large wedge that's been there was broken on Friday, but now look, we're back inside. Okay, we're back inside that wedge. Now I can make this bigger. Really take a look at the levels here. You can clearly see this 40.43 acting as support. Okay, so that's a level you need to watch. And then we have that most traded price of the week, most traded price of the month and the year right here. I believe that's the ultimate defense. Okay, you also have the most traded price of the rolling year down here. See, there's a lot of levels here. So when we cracked all three of those here, that was bullish, and then we held it, right? And then we moved higher. So these three big levels need to hold. And for today, I'd be looking at these, right? Like I said, we could crack a couple of them and land in here somewhere and wait for the FOMC. Of course, can we come down here and bounce? We could. But that's a big news catalyst coming, so we have to see. That's really what I wanted to show you. It's kind of repetitive, what I've already said. I mean, we basically took out all this, all right, in the overnight. We kind of found the little bottom here, and we're starting to come up, but we'll have to see. Can this be a pullback for now longs to get in there? It could be. But you have that big news event ahead. I don't know how bullish you could be, but market does what it's going to do. All right, let's look at the Nasdaq. All right, Nasdaq has that wedge as well. It broke out of it. Came out of, busted out of the 200-day moving average. Came down here, and now we're inside of it. Hit this demand zone, right? So if you noticed, the ES has this support was been broken. and the Nasdaq has a demand zone here and has been bouncing out of it. So the Nasdaq is stronger, not not stronger, because it's not gapping down. It's down more overall. It's down 1.16%. Okay, but as far as the structure of the charts, um, just to show you back again really quickly, to show you that same kind of support area is right here in the ES, got taken out. See, it's got broken. And then if you go to the Nasdaq, man, crude's really selling off right now. We go back to the Nasdaq and you can see back that area that it's been holding. This consolidation right here, it's held. Okay, so now we have to look at this 120.18 level, and really, if we crack it, probably at least go into here, 119.07, the most traded price of the week. Okay, and there's two little trend lines here, so we have this one, and then we can go to this one, and that kind of lines up with the demand zone down here, most traded price of the last year, the rolling year. Okay, so you don't have those levels, big levels like you do in the ES that are stacked. They are there, but they're not as stacked as the ES. Okay, so let's move over to the market profile. Okay, crude. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys can see this in crude, just to show you this big red candle that just happened in the last hour. That is a monster, and it's taken out. If it takes out this support level, what it just did, there is not much to go all the way back down to 75. So this is on my, I didn't know if this was going to definitely happen in crude. Just to give you an example, man, crude's really selling off right now. Just to give you an example of why this is happening. I mean, obviously you can see there's been one try, two tries, even a third try, a fourth try to break this area, and it's failed. Now the important part of that is this is the most traded price of this year, of the rolling year, right here. So we cracked through that, came up, cracked it again, came up, and now we're going back down. So here's that support level here. This is the last line of defense right here at 77.35. But if we crack that, man, this is just a pocket right here. You can see this green is this year's volume. There is not support there, so I'm gonna keep my eye on that. It's very important. Sorry for the sidebar, but I just wanted to point that out in crude. It's a kind of a good opportunity to possibly go short here. Obviously, if this pumps back through here area, maybe, but you have this here, the most traded price of the year, last year, but that's a tough level. So, all right, let's go over to the market profile. Let's see what we got. So let's go here. Let's go here. All right. So this today, this gap in the ES, right? So whenever you have the markets out of sync, they're a little harder to look at and trade, right? So you really have to see. I'm gonna have to wait and see. So, but I can see. See, we already have short. The most traded price of the overnight is here, right? So the price is right here. So if we start to move higher, that's gonna people taking profits and squeezing some shorts. Now we have to see if we open. This is the whole game. Can we fill the gap? And like I said, this is a possible short scenario. Fill the gap, market turns over and takes out all the longs from here, and we go down and test that most traded price of the week at 40.27. Okay, and that can happen with the gap filling. That can happen with failing to fill the gap. That's all weak information, right? On the other hand, if we do open and we do fill the gap, right? And then, we start to move back into range. You got a supply zone here. We could just balance in this area. That could be a possibility too. Okay. I can't see all out bullishness today, but you never know. Just with that news looming, right? And what's going to happen today psychologically? You have to think about that. If everyone's been long, 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 we've been moving up. And today they might go, you know what? I'm going to take my profits here. I don't know. The FOMC is coming up. That could be a possibility psychologically. You know, like something like Nvidia. Nvidia, I think, went up to 205, 206, and right now it's at 199. I mean, somebody might just say, you know what? I'm just going to take my money. Because FOMC is a very volatile day, right? So that's kind of what I'm really only looking at. All right. And remember these key levels down here. In the macro picture, you stay above those, it's bullish. But then you have such a big news event coming they won't matter really on the FOMC day if something happens. I mean, technicals just get blown out of the water. You just gotta watch and see what happens. Okay. But the one thing I am looking at, the level that is a nice level to look at, is this week low. Okay, that I pointed out earlier in the Nasdaq. That is something you have to keep your eye on. Okay. So in the Nasdaq, if we move higher, meaning we come up here, here's the 200-day moving average. I'd have to look at that, how it reacts to it. But even if it came up to here, and it's the supply zone, which is also the most traded price of Friday, if there's some weakness here and we start to roll over, okay, and we start to push down, this area is very important. It's also the most traded price in the 24-hour session. Okay, so in demand zone, if we already popped out of the demand zone once, now that demand zone has been used, makes it weaker. So if we come down, start to pop down, this could be a nice little short down to this 119.07. Most traded price of the week in the real-time trading hours. Okay, because these lows have been bought twice. There's longs here. Okay, that's what makes this level important. As well, confluence with the demand zone, confluent with the most traded price of the 24-hour session in the week. Now, this is also that support level that has not been broken like it has in the ES. Okay. That's what my bias is looking at today. Doesn't mean it has to work, but there's no gap here. So that's what I'm going to really look at this level, right? Higher it goes, could suck longs in to get short. So, I mean, could the bulls show up? I mean, possibly. I have a hard time seeing like this all-out buying today, but could happen. But I'm just going to leave it like that with those scenarios because that's what I'm going to be looking at. I mean, I could give you a bull scenario, but I'm not even going to be looking at that. I really wouldn't. I really would find that hard to justify all-out buying today, but it could happen, right? So that's all I got today. I wish. Oh, this is Gabriel filling out of Philly. Sorry, I'm seeing this now. Oh, Colby. I'm looking at your questions now. Sorry if this was put up earlier. With crude dropping, can that be an indicator of weakness? Gabriel, you're welcome. Um, have a safe flight. And Colby, with crude dropping, could that be an indicator of weakness in the overall economy in the market? Um, possibly, possibly. With crude, there's so many factors. You got China's reopening, which you would think would be bullish because they're the largest importer of crude. It's hard to say. But then if you have a looming recession, which puts demand in question, that's lower demand for oil. So it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. I mean, the dollar is lower, which is good for crude. People should be buying because it's cheaper, because it's denominated in dollars. But I have to see. Crude needs to pull back, really. To be honest with you, it's been really overbought. I mean, I was long, transparency with crude, and it was tapping at breaking that resistance, and it didn't do it. So, um, this could be the pullback the bulls have been waiting for. You know, um, have to see because that the levels I just showed you guys, it could really drop today. It could really drop if the bulls don't just go, "Oh, this is a good buying opportunity." It could drop pretty significantly. Um, so glad I saw those. And I have a couple monitors here, so I'm glad I saw the chat. Um, hope I answered your question. Sorry if it's not a concrete answer, but nothing in the market is sometimes. But I wish everybody luck today. Give me a comment, like, or subscribe. Um, share with anybody trading. Looking to add some subscribers here. Um, oh, you're welcome. And stay green today. Stay patient. And if anything of I see significance today, I'll do an update. But if I don't see anything significant, I won't. But that's about it for me. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.